Hey everybody, it's Alan Brochstein from 420 Investor and New Cannabis Ventures. I'm here with the weekly review of the cannabis sector. And this is something that I base off of something I published that I'm going to include as a link to this. And I've been making it publicly available. It's something that I send out so that my subscribers can just in one place see the important news. And so you can refer to that if you want. But I'm going to talk about it. And let me just first say that this week was not a great week for the overall market. When I say the overall market, I mean the overall cannabis market. The overall market went up and moved to new recent highs. And it was kind of interesting the way it did it on the bad news of a 75 basis point hike by the Federal Reserve. And so I know some people think this is almost over and it's time to get bullish. But for cannabis stocks, they were down. And I'll talk more about this as we progress, but I think it was consistent with the strong movement that we've been seeing, and it didn't really change anything. So the only news this week, really, for the cannabis sector of importance was that the House did pass a medical cannabis research bill, and the Senate may pass it too. And this would be big, in my opinion, not because of all the change that might happen, but because the Senate actually approving anything cannabis related in a positive way would be a big change. And so remember, they're talking about legalizing, and I've already told you I don't think that's happening. I did an interview this week for Seeking Alpha. I did it on Sunday. They published it Tuesday. And I talk about that in there and how the people that think this bull market is because we're going to legalize are wrong. We're not going to legalize most likely. If we do, if I'm wrong, great, it'll go up. But the reality is we're not going to legalize. And I did talk about that on the Seeking Alpha. And I'll put the link to that will be in the link that I give you to the newsletter. There were four items that I shared at 420 Investor, and in kind of in the order. So on I think it was last Sunday or maybe Saturday night, I sent out a preview of Tilray Q4 financials. And this is something I do for all 32 names that are on the focus list. I give an update of the last quarter and kind of the expectations for the current quarter. It helps to have that bit of knowledge so that people can react to the actual numbers. And I also published on Friday the same three things updated that I always share on Friday afternoon to help my subscribers at 420 Investors stay on top of the market. And that includes something that I call the 420 Investor Model Portfolio Composition. It looks at my two long-term focused ones, and it talks about their weightings by subsector compared to the index. And then secondarily, I did the cannabis subsector review. Each week, I pick a different start date or one of many different start dates. And for this week, I used the month of July. And I looked at all the subsectors and various companies that are in those subsectors. And I included July charts for all of them. And wow, all I can say is if you think cannabis stocks all move the same, you're wrong. And you have to see this. But and then the third thing is this piece that I am sharing publicly now, and that's the 420 Investor Weekly Review. All right. So in this review, I do talk about the important news that comes out for my focus list names. Remember, there's 32, and it looks like I had about 9 or 10 that reported things that I'm going to mention right now. So let me just hit that briefly. And the first is Air. Opened 2 dispensaries. It's 49th in Florida, and it's 9th in Pennsylvania. Canopy Growth introduced a new premium flower offering from 7 Acres, and also some stuff from Doja as well. Curaleaf launched something called Plant Precision, and that is a curated collection of edibles and topical gel with targeting specific conditions. So That was Curaleaf, and it also opened its 51st Florida dispensary. A lot of companies opening in Florida. Jushi, on the other hand, opened its third Virginia dispensary in Alexandria. And I continue to believe that Virginia is going to be a great state when it goes adult use, but it's just medical now. And then the next one is Planet 13. And by the way, I just added Jushi to the focus list. Planet 13 received conditional adult use dispensing organization license in Chicago. Remember, they had already announced a cultivation project there, and so they're maybe getting vertically integrated, but nothing's happening yet. I think I said that right. Now, the next one, State House, used to be Harborside. If you haven't heard of it, they did change their ticker this week, and I've been following Harborside for a long time, and they had big news. And you know, I thought it would send the stock up, and maybe it did, but when it was all said and done, not really. And the big news was I've been concerned for a long time about their 280E taxation violation, and the Treasury Department, I think, was pressing on them, or part of the government was pressing on them to pay back a lot of money. Well, the size got reduced, and there's a payout schedule now. It's a long time of $50,000 a month, and that is a major positive. It was cut by like 80%, the amount, and it's being spread out over time. Now, I told my subscribers that this big merger they just did with two other companies would make that a smaller problem anyway. So I'm not so sure, you know, given their additional size right now, there was ever really a problem. But, you know, if the IRS made them pay it back right away and all of it, they don't have that much money. So this was good news. And then Tilray, they reported, and I did talk about Tilray extensively on that Seeking Alpha interview, and their report was, you know, in line, maybe a little bit ahead on the revenue side, and the adjusted EBITDA might have missed by a little bit. And they gave some guidance for their fiscal 23. When it was all said and done, I told people I don't like Tilray, and I gave them all the reasons, but you know, I got to say, this number, it could rally a little, and that's what it did. All right, TerrAscend. They opened their third New Jersey dispensary in Lodi. It's right across the GW Bridge is what it looks like. No, not the GW Bridge. Further south, one of the tunnels, Holland Tunnel, I think. And in any event, they now have 3 stores open. I think for them, New Jersey is a very important state. If you look at their competitors, they all have much larger market caps, and so TerrAscend's set to benefit from that. It's the state's first drive-through dispensary. Next is Village Farms, and they've expanded their Pure Sun farms into Atlantic Canada and Northern Canada. And then finally, Verano. Bad news from there. I warned my subscribers that it would probably get hit. And indeed, a broker, one of the better brokers in the space, cut his holding from buy to hold. And what happened was, this is not the first time this has happened, and that's why I thought it would be negative. I don't really think it's negative, but investors didn't like it last time, and they're not going to like it the second time. The company is going to be restating earnings. They haven't done it yet, and they said that something about a lower taxation, so that's good, and they underestimated their stock compensation expense. That's bad. And so I don't know how much the numbers are going to change, but I think investors, they don't like to see things change. It's a sign to them. I will just tell you that I have spoken to the Verano management, and while I liked the company before, I still like them. My concern there has really little to do with this restatement and more to do with how high their margins are projected to be in 2023, way above even Trulieve, which is number 2. And so I'm concerned that the company could, not will, give some guidance that would lead the analysts to lower the margins. And I think the good news, if that happens, the stock's going to go down because some people will react negatively. But I'd say that the good news is when I look at the valuation, it seems to already be saying, no, those margins aren't right. And so a little bit lower price, and it's below 6. I don't need that much lower. But with that news out of the way and the adjustments to the estimates in 2023, then I can be more comfortable. And the other piece of news they had was they opened their 53rd dispensary in Florida, in a city called Port Charlotte. And they were also approved in Neptune, New Jersey, for their adult use sales. And so that's really it on Verano. And let me go next to talk about the market. We're about 11 minutes into this, a few more minutes to go. And so I put a weekly update for the market in this. And so this week, as I mentioned earlier, the stocks fell 4.6% this week, and they rallied only 4.3%. That's less than half of what the for the month. It's way less than half of what the SPY did, and so for the naysayers, we're lagging. But for the positive people, this is the first in 17 months that the cannabis market, as measured by the Global Cannabis Stock Index, rallied. And I think that there's a lot of people that the only reason they don't want to buy more cannabis stocks is because the market's going down. Well, guess what? It went up. And so I also looked at other indices. I don't have that all in front of me, but I can tell you that one of my big moves has been to cut back on my MSO exposure and raise my ancillary. And I can tell you the ancillaries did well this week and better than the Global Cannabis Stock Index for the month. Now the MSOs did really well for the month. And so I'm not negative on the MSOs, but I had a big overweight there. And now I'm kind of neutral, I would say. And then now let me talk about my model portfolios. I've been running these since day one, and that was in 2013, so about 9 years ago. I started with what is called Flying High, and I did change it to be more like the way it is now. At the beginning, it was just it wasn't real clear. But this is a trading model portfolio, and this week it was down 4.7%, so similar to the overall market, down 4.3%. But I do want to say that for the month of July, where the market was up 4.6%, I was up in that one 21.7%. That's about 5 times as great. And there's no leverage there. So I would say late in the month, I picked up some more MSOs. So this whole MSO, I sold some, and then after they fell, I bought some back. All right, I have 2 long-term model portfolios, 420 Opportunity, which was started in 2014, and it was because I wanted something different. And this is a long-term focused, and it's measured against the Global Cannabis Stock Index, and it was up 19% in July, and down 3.5%, so better than the Global Cannabis Stock Index. And then the other model portfolio I have is 420 Quality. And the difference there's 2 differences. It can have 30% cash instead of 20, and it has to include focus list names, not any cannabis name. And it is now, it was up 20.4% in July after dropping just 3.1% this week. So I had a great month, or I should say my subscribers that follow my model portfolios had a great month. Now let me finish up. This is the start of earnings season. We'll be publishing something on New Cannabis Ventures tomorrow, I think, maybe Monday on this. But this week we have Scott's Miracle Grow, Grow Generation, IIPR, and GTI. Those four companies, those are all important companies. The next week, there's a lot more. We're in the reporting season for companies that are in December or March or September, and we're going to see a lot of reports. Stay tuned for that. Just as a reminder to you, or news, maybe, Scott's Miracle Grow. Did I say that one? I said IIPR. Oh, yeah. Uh, I think I just said some wrong things. I'm looking at this list now, and let me just read it to you. It's five names. I left off Canopy Growth. So Scott's Miracle Grow, I don't think I mentioned that one. I might have said a wrong one. They're going to report on Wednesday morning, and Green Thumb is going to report on Wednesday afternoon. On Thursday, IIPR will host a morning, actually lunchtime call. They're going to release on Wednesday night, but their call's on Thursday. And then Grow Generation is going to be after the close on Thursday. And finally, Canopy Growth is going to be Friday. And I have positions in all of these names in certain model portfolios. So it's a big week for Alan Brochstein. And I wrote about Grow Generation is one of my pieces that I wrote in the monthly newsletter that I published at the beginning of July, or actually at the end of June. And wow, did it have a good month. And not all the ancillaries did, but it was up like 30 or 33%. So with that, let me bid you adieu and remind you, if you want more and you want my input, you can subscribe for $5.99 a year, and you'll get lots of information and 3 model portfolios, a big forum. I've been having a live chat weekly, and I'm not exactly weekly. I say weekly, but it's been bi-weekly. And I will get there. Right now, with my therapies going on and all that, I'm not doing that every week. But there's a lot of reasons to join 420 Investor, and if you don't like it for some reason, you have 30 days to quit and get all your money back. So I do hope to see some of you, and good luck with earnings season. Take care.